nice and cool. Good morning. The foreshadowing is that they're going to do what?
My name is Joe Bernhardt, and I teach 7th grade language arts at Fondren Middle School in Houston, Texas.
Maybe it's foreshadowing that they're going to travel to Alabama. When I initially very first started, I wanted them to be able to read a book, be quiet enough to get through a book, answer some questions, maybe try some discussion with them. And did what? Now it's kind of evolved to the point where my goals are to have them have meaningful interactions with texts, to have meaningful interactions with literature, to frame literature the same way they might frame talking about, something as common as wrestling or a TV show. Let's just take a time out and just take a look up here. We have a good amount of time, about an hour left. When you finish the foreshadowing mini lesson, which you're working on right now, and I've been coming around and talking to you, and I see a lot of good ideas and a lot of good evidence for the foreshadowing. When you are done with that, then you're simply going to move on to the book groups. Okay? If you are still reading, you're going to set your goal and decide who's the group leader and the recorder and complete an owl log today. I'll get you one if you're still reading. And if you were finished reading already, you're going to continue to work on your projects. I have 10 different book groups in one class or going on at once. And some of them are reading, some of them are having discussions, some of them are working on projects. Yes. And they need my guidance, and they'll be asking for it constantly. I'm usually running around from group to group for this issue or that issue.
Between him and the psychologist.
In the kitchen. Oh, I can find it.
They are good at taking responsibility and being independent and making good choices, especially in this group situation.
They help one another move on to the next thing.
Playing right now. Mommy, Joy asks, sounds really scared. Where did all these stars come from? All we could see was the pump. It looked like a deformed, evil, one-armed space robot.
I'm not afraid to use class time to have them read aloud. I don't have multiple copies of these books where they can read at home, and I really wanted it, again, to be kind of a communicative thing where they're speaking and relating to one another and supporting one another in the reading.
Think of the money we'll save. I'm going to give it a shot, but I'm not going to tell Willona.
The book that we're reading is called The Watch Go to Birmingham, and it's a book during the 1963. And then they talk about the different things that happened to just two people, mainly Byron and Kenneth, and what they faced going to Alabama and going from Flint and their friends in school and all those kind of things.
Well, do you see what your non-stop driving has done? Do you see instead of being in the motel, you're driving us straight into hell? I like being in a group because my other schools, we just have to read to ourselves, and you get to read to a group and discuss it. And most people don't like when you talk out loud with Mr. Brownhart does. This looks like the sky in Birmingham.
We all read and then we discuss like in between, and then we start again, and then when we finish reading the pages that we want to read, we discuss. We have a page that we ask questions and we discuss them.
When the groups are done reading, they'll have discussions and fill out their OWL logs. OWL stands for observations, wonderings, and links, and it's supposed to be a highlight of their discussions.
Yeah.
Other groups are done with their books and will work on their projects.
I'm not sure if we should use that one.
You see the word collage, where they're choosing words that summarize and encapsulate the story and show an understanding of character and the thematic issues in the book as well. We're seeing things like the yearbook pictures, where they pick a character, they pick a picture that goes with the character, and then they write about the character in a way that a yearbook would. They're selecting all kinds of different projects to work on, and all of them, they explicitly, most of them deal with character and understanding of character and, some other kind of basic elements of the text.
What's a picture? Oh yeah, of these things. I know. But we're going to have to
scrapbook.
I know. We're reading Letters from a Slave Girl, and it's about that girl named Harriet. She was born into slavery, but she wanted her freedom, so she had to hide for I think it was 7 years in a storage room, because if she came out, Dr. Norcom, he's a mean, selfish man.
He's her master.
I know. We already found Dr. Norcom.
You found who? Dr. Norcom?
Yeah. Wait, where is that? Oh yeah.
There you go. Does he got a frown on his face?
He has a frown on his face?
We were making a scrapbook for Harriet because telling about all her memories and all the people that she had knew in her book. We took the pictures because we was gonna design like a scrapbook and put all the pictures of the people we had cut out the magazine inside, so she would have a memory book to cherish.
We were looking for the pictures from families from her related to her. We were looking for those pictures like her brother, children, master, and everybody.
And also her friends.
Father, remember? Yeah. This can be her father, her mother, Jian, her brother. This can be
That's
her.
the Huxtables. We don't want them to be the Cosby family, do we?
We couldn't look for a picture for Harriet, so she looked like her. So we took a picture. We took a picture of her, dressed like her, and we just took a picture of her and her mother. She was the mother of her. That's why we just took two pictures. Look over there.
Other classes, we don't have a chance to read books and tell about it to the class and stuff. And we don't, it's not like in other classes, the teacher sometimes picks the books, but this time we got to choose the book that we want. And it's interesting because we get to do a presentation in the scrapbook. That's fun too.
The books that they're reading are all basically contemporary young adult literature. The criteria I used for selecting them is they had to be of quality, a certain level of quality, and they had to be texts that I thought would engage the kids. I chose a majority of the books have protagonists of color, and I thought that was important for my students.
I have books like The Skin I'm In by Sharon Flake, Heaven by Angela Johnson, Necessary Roughness by Marie Lee, and Forged by Fire and Tears of a Tiger by Sharon Draper.
You almost done?
Yeah. Really, the best part of the book when he died.
That's the best part of the book when he died. Why?
Yeah, this is the best part.
Because you're happy that he died? You're happy that he died? Why? That's cold-hearted.
Because that's how he's gonna solve his problem.
Is that a good way to solve your problem?
He think he was solving his problem.
Okay. He thinks he's going to solve his problem. What really happens that way?
He shoots himself.
Does he? Yeah, he shoots himself. Does that solve the problem?
No.
Yes.
Does it change anything? Doesn't. What does it change?
He won't be up there with Andy, so it don't change nothing.
Okay. And does it create more problems for anyone?
Yo, for Keisha.
Okay, for Keisha, who else does it create problems for? His family. Okay. That made me think that what had happened that I thought that something happened to Young along those lines. Why was Chan attacked, do you think, earlier in the book?
Maybe jealous when the football players was jealous of him that won his position on the team.
They might have been jealous of him. What else? What's the other issue? The whole prejudice thing? Okay, I kind of thought something like that had gone on in this town. So how do you feel about Young's death?
I almost cried. It was just sad.
Did anyone else almost cry?
No.
You were sad?
I was very emotional.
No tears though? Yeah.
No kidding.
I remember too, it was very depressing. So how many pages do you have left?
I don't know,
17.
yeah, maybe 17.
What do you think is going to happen?
Well,
What predictions do you have for the end of this book? I mean, what's up with Chan right now?
well, he's
Taking his anger out on everyone, arguing with Miko, his father.
struggling with, just the whole situation with Young's death and all that. I mean, they were just so close, And he's just really struggling with it.
So do you think it's just going to end with him struggling and being, do you think there's going to be any resolution? What do you...
There's always, well, not always, but
with stories like these, there's something has to happen to end with him maybe working out or finding help to, for it, for
What do you
his
think?
feelings.
You think Randy's right about that?
Yeah. He may be be back on the football team. His anger will kind of disappear, but he'll still have a big part of his heart be missing because his sister is gone.
Anybody ever experienced anything like this?
No, but my mom has.
Yeah, I have.
Not last year, but the year before last year, my mom lost her sister in a car accident, and she was pregnant at this time.
Oh my gosh, that's so sad.
And I had to skip the after Christmas vacation, 5th grade, go to the funeral for a whole week.
That was sad.
But it's kind of good. I got to see my cousins again, cousin of the relatives.
Son of it, you said something like that's happening.
6 years ago in San Francisco. Well, my dad went there first, but then we had to go because my grandma died. Heart attack.
All right.
When someone like grandma or grandfather dies, that's hard, right?
You know what I thought was really good was that there was like not a poem but a saying that that was in the book. No, not that one. The one about when adults die, you bury them in the ground. When children die, you bury them in their heart. That was just sweet. That was touching. All right. What do we predict will happen next? We pretty much said that, didn't we?
Part of the reason we have the book groups here is because I want them to interact. I want them to communicate and dialogue and ask questions and formulate questions about literature among their own peers, with one another. And that all has my guidance. You know, I never remove myself from the formula. I want to include myself in that equation, but I want to hand it more and more over to them. And the book groups this year was my first step towards making that happen even more in my classroom. What signifies success to me in a lesson is when I see kids smiling and laughing and arguing over what they're going to create, arguing over their interpretation of the text. I know then that they're having fun with it, they're interacting with it in a way that they're going to remember